Hey, second graders. We are in Dr. Dolittle on the 11th chapter. It looks like, Polynesia was pretending to be the fairy queen and was talking to Prince Bumpo and telling him that he could be turned into a frog prince if he let Dr. Dolittle out of prison, I think. Or at least if he went and talked to Dr. Dolittle, who is in prison. So we'll see where this goes. So chapter 11 is called Medicine and Magic. Very, very quietly, making sure that no one saw her, Polynesia slipped out behind the tree and flew across to the prison. She found Gub Gub poking his nose through the bars of the window, trying to sniff the cooking smells that came from the palace kitchen. She told the pig to bring the doctor to the window because she wanted to speak to him. "Listen," whispered Polynesia when John Dolittle's face appeared. "Prince Bumpo is coming here tonight to see you. He thinks you are a great wizard, and you've got to find some way to turn him into a frog. But be sure to make him promise you first that he will open the prison door and find a ship for you." A frog? Why on earth does Prince Bumpo want to be a frog? And how am I going to help him with that? "I don't know anything about that," said Polynesia. "You must do it. You will think of a way. It is your only chance to get out of prison." Well, I suppose it might be possible. Let me see. He started rummaging through his medicine bag, murmuring to himself. Well, that night, Prince Bumpo went secretly to the doctor in prison and said to him, "Great wizard, I am unhappy as a prince. Years ago, I went in search of a beautiful princess, like the ones in fairy tales. When at last I found one, and I fell in love with her, and she fell in love with me. But she wouldn't marry me. She said it was her destiny to kiss a frog who was really a prince and make him her husband. Now, I hear that you are a magician with many powerful potions, so I come to you for help. If you will turn me into a frog so that I can finally win my beloved princess, I will give you half my kingdom and anything else you ask." Prince Bumpo," said the doctor, looking thoughtfully at the bottles in his medicine bag. "Suppose I taught you to speak in frog language. Would that do to convince your princess?" "Ooh, that would be good. But not good enough. I must look like a frog too." "Well, it isn't so easy to change a man into a frog," said the doctor. "That's one of the hardest things a magician can do. I can make your face look frog-like, enough that the princess will marry you. Would that do?" "Yes, that will do. Because I shall wear shining armor and gauntlets of steel like the princes in books, and I will ride on a horse." "Well, okay, I will do that. I can do that for you." But before I do anything, Prince Bumpo, you must first go down to the beach and prepare a ship to take me across the sea. And when I have done as you ask, you must let me and all of my animals out of prison. Promise, by the crown of Jolliginki. So the prince promised and went away to get the ship ready. When Bumpo came back and said that it was done, the doctor spent an hour teaching him words in frog language. Then he asked Dab Dab to bring a basin. He mixed a lot of medicines in the basin and told Bumpo to dip his face in it. I don't know about you, but I don't think I would dip my face in a bowl full of random medicine. This sounds like a bad idea. The prince leaned down and put his face in, right up to his ears, and held it there a long time, so long that the doctor got anxious and worried, and standing first on one leg and then the other, and then looking at all the bottles he used for the mixture, and then reading the labels on them again and again. And then a strong smell filled the prison, like the smell of paper or paper burning. At last, the prince lifted his face up out of the basin, breathing very hard, and all the animals cried out in surprise. The prince's skin had turned a beautiful, bumpy green and brown, like the lily pads on a muddy pond. It had a lovely frog sheen to it. I'm surprised. I didn't know if that would actually work. When John Dolittle lent him a little mirror to see himself in, he began dancing around the prison, croaking, "Will you marry me?" in frog language. But the doctor asked him to not make so much noise. "Please, open the prison door." Bumpo begged to keep the mirror. It was the only one in the kingdom of Jolliginki. He wanted to look at himself all day long. But the doctor said he needed it so that he could shave his beard. Then the prince, taking a bunch of copper keys from his pocket, undid the double locks. The doctor and all his animals ran as fast as they could down to the seashore, while Bumpo leaned against the wall of the empty dungeon, smiling after them happily, his big face shining like a wet banana leaf in the light of the moon. When they came to the beach, they saw Polynesia and Chi-Chi waiting for them on the rocks near the ship. "Boy, I feel sorry for Bumpo," said the doctor. "I'm afraid that the medicine I used won't last. Most likely, he will look the same as ever very soon. But if he's lucky, he'll stay green long enough to convince his princess to marry him. Poor Bumpo." "I don't believe he ever found a princess at all," said Jip. "He's just been reading too many fairy tales. Silly business." Then the Push Me Pull You, Gub Gub, Dab Dab, Jip, and Tutu went onto the ship with the doctor. But Chi-Chi, Polynesia, and the crocodile stayed behind, because Africa was the land where they were born. When the doctor stood upon the boat, he looked over the side across the water, and then he remembered that they had no one with them to guide them back to Puddleby. The wide, wide sea looked terribly big and lonesome in the moonlight. He began to wonder if they would lose their way when they passed out of sight of the land. But while he was wondering, they heard a strange whispering noise high in the air coming through the night. And the animals all stopped saying goodbye and listened. The noise grew louder and bigger. It seemed to be coming closer to them, a sound like the autumn wind blowing through the leaves of a tree, or a heavy rain beating down upon a roof. And Jip, with his nose pointing upward and his tail quite straight, said, "Birds! Millions of them! Flying fast! That's it! Birds!" And then they all looked up, and there, streaming across the face of the moon like a huge swarm of ants, were thousands and thousands of birds. Soon the whole sky seemed full of them, and still more kept coming, and more and more. There were so many that they covered the whole moon so it could not shine, and the sea grew dark and black, like when a storm cloud passes over the sun. Then all these birds came down close, skimming right over the top of the water and the land, and the night sky was left clear above. The moon shone as it was before. The rustling of their feathers began to grow louder than ever. They settled on the sands along the ropes of the ship, anywhere and everywhere except the trees. The doctor could see that they had blue wings and a white chest and very short feathered legs. As soon as they had all found a place to sit, suddenly there was no noise left. All was quiet and all was still. In the silent moonlight, John Dolittle spoke. "I had no idea that we've been in Africa for so long. It will be nearly summer when we get home. Swallows, I thank you for waiting for us. Now we need not be afraid that we will lose our way upon the sea. Pull up the anchor and set the sail." So what had happened is all of these swallows are ready to go, they're ready to migrate and move back. And um, and so they all came and they landed by the ship and on the beach, and they are ready to guide the doctor back to Puddleby. That would be a lot of birds, by the way. When the ship moved out upon the water, those who stayed behind, Chi-Chi, Polynesia, and the crocodile, grew terribly sad. For never in their lives had they known anyone they liked as much as Dr. John Dolittle of Puddleby on the Marsh. Okay, that is the end of chapter 11. We're going to pause here for today. I hope you guys have an awesome week. See you later.